without further ado, Nicole, come on up.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good? Well, if I'm going to talk about social media, I have to start by taking a picture of all of you, right? So I can post it. So smile pretty. There you go. Got half the room. Perfect. Okay, very good. We'll get that posted in a little bit so that you can all see your beautiful faces like I can see from here. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much to BizBash for inviting me and including me in today. It's wonderful to be with all of you. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about social media and sort of the fact that I believe that our assumptions about Gen Y are actually a little challenged. And so hopefully you will see where we end up here. So let me give you a little background about myself. My life on the stage actually started when I was a showgirl at the age of 9. That's really me. I was in a production called C'est Magnifique, and I performed at the Sahara Hotel in Las Vegas. And I can tell you there are plenty of days I still miss the feathers. My entrance into the event management industry actually started during my awkward years in high school when I was the prom coordinator. And just for all of the single men in the room, that's actually not my date. That's my best friend for 38 years. So I am on Tinder if you want to connect later. Okay? Just a little bit more about where I am up to now in modern times, after the awkward years, hopefully. I have been the owner of the Henley Company for the last 7 years. As David said, we are an event, travel, and lifestyle management company. So not only do we do full event production for our clients, we also do lifestyle management and personal concierge work. So we manage the lives of busy executives and their families, handling their personal events, travel coordination, personal assistance, household management. And it's a really great addition to all of the event work that we do. I was lucky enough to be the president of the San Diego chapter of ISIS for 2 years. During that time, I also earned my CSEP. Later this summer, I will be able to add published author to my list of things on my resume with my first book coming out called Permission, Stop Competing and Start Creating the Life That You Want to Live. In the last couple of years, I've been very fortunate to have international experience where I worked on sponsorship activation programs at both the London 2012 Olympics. I spent 6 weeks earlier this year in Sochi working the Winter Games. I've also been in Brazil last summer for the Confederation Cup. And I know England is playing right now, so somebody keep me abreast if there's a goal that goes in the net. And then I've also worked at the Super Bowl. So I'm very privileged and honored that in my relatively young life, I've had a lot of great experience, and I'm very, very grateful for that. In addition to everything else that I do, one of my titles I'm most proud of is the fact that I'm a professor. And I'm on faculty at 2 universities in San Diego, the University of San Diego's Event Management Certificate Program, and at San Diego Mesa College, where I teach in their 2-year associate's degree program in hospitality, with our students emphasizing in events, hotel management, and culinary management. And my time in the classroom has been very enlightening. Not only does it force me to stay very current in our industry and in my craft, because obviously I need to be ahead of where the students are, but it's also very encouraging because all of these students now have the opportunity to have formalized education. And when I was starting my career after the awkward prom years, I didn't have a university that I could go to receive a degree in event management. So it's a very exciting time for our industry because so many different universities, not only in this country but around the world, are offering those programs. My time in the classroom, though, has led me to a great epiphany. So every semester, I start by asking the students, how many of you are actively using social media? Lots of hands will go up. I normally have about 40 students in a class. I know they're actively using it because their smartphone is like a third limb, right? And I can tell when I'm lecturing that they're looking down at their phone, and I know they're not taking notes on that phone. So I assume there's some social media happening while I'm lecturing. That's fine. That's the generation, right? Many of you might be tweeting now. So I asked these students, how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Out of those 40 students, maybe 10 students will raise their hand. How many of you actively use LinkedIn to cultivate business opportunities, jobs, internships? And I might have 2 students that raise their hand. So I thought, that's kind of weird. How many of you actively use Twitter? Again, maybe half the class will raise their hand. How many of you understand how to use Twitter to connect with possible mentors, find business opportunities, to engage with people that you respect in the industry? Whoop, all those hands go down. I'm thinking to myself, what's happening here? Here's a generation that was born with a smartphone in their hand, and yet they're not able to make this connection between using social media and applying it, right? So in the words of great Oprah, the assumptions about Gen Y and social media are all wrong, right? That's what she would say if she was here. So they do know how to use social media, okay? But the application of social media is where they are challenged, right? Now, it's easy for us to pick on Gen Y, right? Because that's the new generation coming in. So let's take a minute to definitely define who this generation is. And if any of you are Gen Y, how many are Gen Y in the room? Woo, okay. Well, I don't want to be like, shot at the end of this. I think you're all lovely, delightful, charming, very talented individuals, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to work alongside you. But I'm going to be Mama Bear in the room for a minute and talk about some of the challenges that you're having in an attempt to give you a leg up on your competition, okay? So our Gen Yers are anyone who was born in the 80s and the 90s, right? They're 77 million strong. They are on par to be as large as the baby boomer generation, okay? So that's about 24% of our population. That's pretty significant. They're still climbing the income ladder, okay? And their long-term purchase power has a lot of people really paying close attention to them. However, they are also the generation that was told, everybody's a winner. We're all going to wear number 1 on the back of our soccer shirts, because that way everybody's number 1. We're not going to keep score at the baseball game because that could hurt little feelings if we know who wins and loses. I'm the aunt in the stands that's like, sweetheart, you lost 5-4. Sorry. Work harder. Believe me, this will serve you very well in your life going forward, right? They also were raised by what is called helicopter parents. And technology has allowed parents to stay connected to this generation in ways that my generation and anyone older than me, I'm Gen X, anyone older than me didn't have, right? We got on our bikes and actually got to ride, across to the ice cream store. Gen Y got on their bikes, which probably was GPSed by their parents, and they have an app that tells them exactly where those kids are, okay? So this helicopter parent concept where mommy and daddy will take care of everything for you, you don't need to really work that hard because everybody's a winner, is actually not serving them particularly well. Sorry to break it to you. So because they have such insane numbers and their buying power is so significant, it's really causing this marketing frenzy. Everybody wants to try to understand who is this Gen Y? How do we get to them? How do we sell our products to them? Okay? And so if you Google Gen Y, you are going to find conferences, articles, blogs, so much about trying to crack this Gen Y nut, right? We want to get to them. They have so much power. They have so much money. They have so many numbers. There's potential there. Okay? So we're catering to them because of their buying power. Now, I don't know about you and your business, but I don't actually get a lot of 18-year-olds coming to me looking for full event production or concierge services, okay? So unless it's Justin Bieber who's coming to me, which would be questionable anyway, I'm not really serving the Gen Y population. That's not my target market. Do I need to pay attention? Yes, but it's not my target market. I'm more interested in Gen Y for a what can they do for me in my business standpoint, okay? So last time I checked, Gen Y was actually working for us. So I'm not so concerned about how they're spending their dollars right now in my business. I'm more concerned about what do they bring to my company, okay? And for any of you who own companies, I would hope that you're sort of in the same mindset. So why does this matter to us in this business? Well, like I said, they're our hiring pool. They're the people who we are going to have work inside of our businesses. We look to them because of their being so comfortable with technology to be our social media influencers, right? We look to them for branding and marketing. We look to them for business development. And we want to delegate our social media to them because we think, well, the young kids, right? Give it to the young kids. They know how to do that Facebook thing and that tweeting thing. Do they really, from a business standpoint, okay? And we're looking to incorporate social media into event design. So the assumption, right, that they're able to be our solution, I think is a wrong assumption. And you know what they say about assumptions, right? It makes an ass out of you and me. So be cautious about assuming that the person who's a Gen Y in your company is going to be the person who is all answers to your social media challenges in your business. Very good at making personal connections, struggle at making professional relationships, okay? If you are a Gen Yer, let this be something that motivates you to be different than your colleagues. I'm telling you, my students who are coming out of school with degrees are not that capable of making these professional relationships. They certainly are when they're in my class because we spend a lot of time in it, okay? But most of them come out of school like, I have a degree, now what? How do I find a job? And my response to them is, well, what's your social media portfolio look like? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Twitter? Are you actively using Instagram? Are you blogging? Are you doing all of those things that you need to do? And a lot of times the answer is no. There's a book called This Is Not the Career I Ordered by Carolyn Dowd Higgins, in which she talks about the fact that this generation is technology proficient, but they still need to strengthen their professional competencies. Okay? How you tweet is not how you write a proposal to a client. Okay? I get that in term papers that my students turn in, right? So we want to be just encouraging them to make sure that they're staying proficient in all of their written and verbal communication skills. So if you don't believe that they are using social media for evil and not good, let me share with you a few of the tweets that come from my actual students. And these are students who know I'm actually following them on Twitter, okay? Here's the first one. I didn't change a word. Bored at work, so I'ma take a newer version of Yam's car and get ghost right quick. Pray I don't get in trouble. Not sure why you would put that out to the world, but okay. Smoking one for the doc, Maya Angelou. I remember getting an A for my research project on her. The academic in me was quite impressed that he was able to get an A. Okay, but I don't know that we need to be smoking one for the doc. Okay? Posted up on my bed, getting high and watching Oprah. I did not change a word, I promise. My boss is so stupid he should be fired for being dumb. Been high as shit throughout this whole shift. I told homie at the smoke shop, if he helps me pass this drug test, then I'll come back and buy a bong from him. Now he owes me a bong. Would you hire these people? Okay? If you are Gen Y, heed my caution. This is truly what they're putting out into the world, and they still do not understand that when you apply for a job at my company, I am going to look at your social media. And I can appreciate the fact that you're smoking one for Maya Angelou, okay? Yay, right? But I don't need my clients knowing that you do that, okay? So please be very, very careful. So the good news, let's not be so harsh on all of our Gen Yers. The good news is they're very tech capable, they're quick learners and adaptable, they want to make a difference, not just a living, which is very generous of them. They already are interested in social media, they just need to broaden their application. Okay, I like to say they use the app, they don't understand the application. What they teach us is the older kids in the room, they give a very fresh perspective, they value crowdsourcing, engagement before, during, and after an event is very important to them. They help to support what they create, and there's no boundaries to them to dreaming big because they've grown up in a generation where opportunities are endless. So that's all really important stuff for us. So assumptions versus reality that we might have. Of course they understand how to use social media for branding in their professional lives. That's the assumption that we have because of the age that they are. The reality is that they don't see the connection between business and personal usage. Assumption. They will question what they don't understand. The reality for this generation is that they're going to try to figure things out without asking questions. So you, as the business owner, need to be checking in with them frequently to make sure that they actually are doing and understand what they're doing. Let the young kid in the company create the social media strategic plan. Okay, that's the assumption. Don't let their proficiency with technology fool you. Can create profiles, not brands. Okay? So don't be surprised. Business is business, personal is personal. As you can see from the example of my Twitter feed there, business is not business and personal is not personal. Business is personal for this generation. Okay? They've blurred those lines. They're super independent. The reality is, remember, they need to be nurtured, and mentoring is very important because who did they grow up being raised by? Helicopter parents. So you kind of have to be the helicopter parent in the company just to make sure that they're mentored and nurtured. So very quickly, 5 questions to ask when you are looking to hire somebody to manage your social media. Tell me about your social media profiles and the brand you created for yourself online. Okay, flat out ask them. What am I going to be surprised to find when I go searching that you've smoked one for Maya Angelou? That's going to be a shock. Okay, what do you know about our company? Make sure they've done their research and they really understand who it is that they're working for. What suggestions do you have for improving our social media presence? Tell me how you would use social media to expand your brand. And finally, provide an example of how you use social media to network or conduct business development. By asking them these questions, you're going to get a pretty good sense. Are they a user or are they a applier of social media? And we're looking for people who can apply social media to grow our businesses, contribute to events, and to generally be somebody who we can look to help us with engagement and social media influencers. Thank you.